Hi folks, I'm Andy with Photo Basics 101, and today I'm going to show you how to create a magazine cover using Photoshop. Here we go. When I create a magazine cover, typically I'll create the layout first. So I'll make sure I have Photoshop open. I'll hit Control N or Command N if you have a Mac, and it'll bring up my little window here. So what I want to do is I want to change this from pixels to inches, and I'm going to work with a width of 8 inches, and a height of 10 inches with a resolution setting of 300 pixels per inch. Make sure the background layer in contents is selected. My background is black. That's actually good in this case. That's what I want to use. And there you have your black 8x10. Simple. Now, in order to fill the screen with the new item you created, I press Control 0, Command 0 if you have a Mac, and that fills the screen. Looking good. Next step is I will actually pull up my markers. So I'll go to the right side here, the right ruler, and I will click and drag to the right to the 1/4 inch mark, and I will release. So I just added a guide to the layout, and now I have a 1/4 inch margin on the left. Go back to the ruler, click and drag to the right to the 1/4 inch mark on this side, and boom. Now I have a 1/4 inch margin on the right, and I have a 1/4 inch margin on the left. Next comes the vertical. I'll go to the top, ruler, and I'll click and drag down to the 1/4 inch mark, release, and now I have a 1/4 inch margin up top, back to the ruler, click and drag down here to the 1/4 inch mark and release, and now I have a 1/4 inch margin all around the layout. This is important because I don't want to put anything outside of this box here. Anything in the margins might get cut off depending on if you're viewing it on a mobile device or if you're viewing it on a desktop computer with a high-res screen, any number of things. But if you put anything inside of the margins, it will be seen. You're good to go. You're covered. Go now. What I do is I go back up to the top, the ruler up top, click and drag down to the 2.5 inch mark, and release. Now this is my title box. Whatever title I use, whatever font I use, all the content is all going to be contained right up here. Makes it much simpler for me to keep things where they need to be. Now I actually have an image that I want to plug in here, right here. This is a praying mantis I photographed a while back. What I'll do is I'll make sure that this image is selected with the background layer right there. I can tell that this is the one selected. Control A, Control C, Control D. What I did there was I selected all, I copied, and I deselected. Then I will tuck this away. We no longer need that. Come back to the layout, and I will press Control V to paste the image into the layout. Okay, we're looking good. Now, as you can see down here, the foot is in the margin that I don't want it to get to. So press Control 0 to fit everything in the screen. Make sure that this praying mantis layer is selected. Press the letter V to activate my move tool, and then I can up arrow to where I want this. Now, mind you, if I wanted to make the praying mantis larger or smaller, all I have to do is make sure that the layer is selected, press Control T, and then you can't really tell where the edges of the photo are because they're bigger than the layout. Not a problem. Press Control 0, and now you can see the outside edges of whatever you have selected. So if I wanted to come in and I want to make this smaller, I want to make it larger, whatever it is that I want to do, I can do it just by transforming it. That's not quite what I want. So we'll bring it back to where it was. And actually right there looks pretty good. Centered content area. I didn't put anything in the title box. There's nothing in the margins that we created all the way around, so we're looking good. So now we can create a title. So we have a white background. So let's make sure that the color of the text we're going to use is black. Come in here, and we'll call this Entomologist. Done. Now, of course, those letters are too small. So we make sure that the Entomologist layer is selected. Press Control T to transform. And now, hold down the Alt key. We can click and drag to the right. And we can stop right about there. That's fine. Now the left and right fill the box. Let's hold down the Alt key again and grab the bottom box and drag it down to more or less where we want it, right about, yeah, that's pretty good right there. So, Entomologist. Bring this down here. And I actually like that, I like the font, I like the spacing, everything looks good. We're going to hit Control J. With Entomologist selected, we hit Control J and that duplicates. If you've got a Mac, it's going to be Command J. So now you have Entomologist layer, Entomologist text layer, and you have the Entomologist copy text layer. So what I like to do is drag this down here so I can work with it and press the letter T to activate the type tool. Click inside in between the letters. Now you're ready to go. Press Control A to select all the letters, and I'm going to call this PB space 101 apostrophe S. PB 101's Entomologist. So these letters are pretty big. I want to tuck them in right up here, so they're too large. I press Control T to transform. Drag this up here to the top left corner. Then I grab the bottom right corner and I click and drag this to size, to wherever I want to put it. Let's say right about, that looks pretty good. And then I hit enter because I'm done with it. Select Entomologist layer again. Press the letter V to activate the move tool. Hold down the shift key and I can, just like I did with the mantis earlier, I can center this more or less where I want it, looking good. Now you can start having a lot of fun. Making sure that the layer is selected, the photo layer. Matter of fact, let me double click on the layer. We're going to call this Mantis. So that's going to be the Mantis layer. Now I press the letter M and I create a new layer with this button right here at the bottom of the layers palette. And with the letter M, I activated my marquee tool. I make sure that the square marquee is selected because it could just as easily be circular or square. Circle, square, circle, square. So I'm going to keep it a square, and starting on the left side, the edge, I'm going to click and drag it over this way. And now we have a square. What do we do with it? We can add a color. So go to your bottom left corner here, select the foreground color, and let's just select the green on the mantis right there. Hit OK. And now you have the layer 1 selected with this square that you just created, and you can fill it by hitting Control Backspace. That's going to give you the foreground color that you just selected. Hit Control D to deselect, and there you go. Now you have a little bar separating the title from the content. This is where you begin to add your personal touches, your little extras, your little customizing. You can call it what you want to call it. You can say, something, whatever content you want in there, you can throw it up there and fit it within the confines of the image based on what photograph you're working with, in this case, the praying mantis. So what I've actually done, I've already done this, and this is the image that I created earlier. Same concept, same, you can see everything. I just changed it to special issue, modern entomologist, which I changed that around, and so it's cool. Click up here. Yes, I'm aware of that. Hit Control A, and we're going to call this again PB 101 apostrophe S, and we're going to make sure it stays buttered up on the left side. There we go. Now the last thing that you want to do is add a barcode. You can download one. You can create your own. They're actually very, very simple. Typically, you'll find them on the left side, though in this layout, it was going to be covering the foot, so I didn't want it there, so I brought it over here and put it on the right side. Butt it up again. Hit Control T to select it, so you know what you have to work with. So you can see the edges of the layer, and now you can see it's butted up right up against the margin, this line, and this guide. Hit OK, and you're good to go. Now the last thing you do is you're going to flatten the image, and you're going to go to View and Clear Guides. So this is the final product. I recommend you get it printed. I recommend you get it matted and framed. Put it in your office, your den, and your cubicle. And anytime anybody makes reference to it, asks what that's about, you can say, "Oh yes, I shot that magazine cover." And that's a wrap, folks. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below. If you dig it, like it. If you want more, subscribe and hit that bell. I'm Andy with Photo Basics 101, reminding you to shoot what you love.